They're also very nerve-wracking days, as you'll see. Not to mention I'm in my pants the whole time this is happening. All right, welcome back. Month two. Month two of the project was a lot of the same stuff. It was working on this exterior retaining wall and trying to get as much of it done as we can. We started with the excavation. The first thing to do is to figure out the entire footprint of where your retaining wall is going to be and dig down into natural soil. So natural soil is not your topsoil, not like what you plant your plants in. It's where the color of the dirt changes and you notice an actual difference. That is your natural soil, your native soil, and we have to embed into that. So for our case, our footings had to be 12 inches into native soil. So at first we had to find that, dig down. Then we called our geologist. They gave us bottom of footing approval. They looked at our native soil, approved that we could start placing rebar. So after the soils report, we got that approved. Our guys started putting rebar in. Everything was going well, and then all of a sudden, the dirt started giving way too quickly. There was a lot of cave-ins, a lot of weird situations where there was pockets of almost gravel in some areas. But for the most part, we got it done. It just took a little bit longer than we wanted it to because it made it too unstable for us to be able to get the excavator up. The whole thing was hand dug. It took about 2 weeks to hand dig with 5 guys, and then we started putting the rebar in. Once we started putting the rebar in, things were going a lot smoother until it was my bright idea that during this whole thing, I thought it would be great that we should just utilize the space a little bit more and add an ADU. So I had to start that whole process, but unfortunately, a part of that process required us to have additional footings and additional rebar in the retaining walls that we're building at the moment. It was a bit of a mess trying to figure out how to get the old plans to work with the new plans while working with them at the same time and not trying to lose any time. That's something that you'll see as a theme throughout the whole project. Once the rebar was in, we got our deputy approval, had our geology approval, the city inspector came, he gave us approval, and we were finally able to pour. The reason that it took so long was just figuring out the terrain and getting used to everything, but that was a big deal for us. Okay, week 3 of that month, we were finally able to pour the concrete for the footings, which was a huge accomplishment because it was, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again, but concrete is huge on this project. Every time you pour concrete, it's a real physical indicator that you're moving forward and you're progressing. Not to mention I'm in my pants the whole time this is happening. They're also very nerve-wracking days, as you'll see. Footings got poured, that was all good. Then we started working on the walls. You always leave little rebars sticking up from the footings. The footings, as we've discussed, are the bottom part of your wall or your foundation or whatever that you're going to build off of. So then from there you tie your rebar and you start making your wall and start forming. Something else that we were doing during July was so this house is 3 floors, right? There's basement, first floor, second floor. The first floor had been partially excavated, but it hadn't been pushed back far enough. And it was impossible to get the excavator back up because we had taken all of the dirt out of the site. We had to hand dig that part as well. We had to bring it down and we had to push it back about another 2 feet, which doesn't sound like much, but the whole first floor had to get pushed back, which was a lot of digging, it was a lot of days, a lot of guys getting that in there. I did some myself, was not easy. We finally got that done. So that was putting in the in-ground plumbing. That was everything that we needed for the kitchen and the bedrooms. Everything on that floor. All sinks, all drains, all of that. I all had to get planned out that early in the project to be able to get that ready back then so we could keep up with our schedule. That was month 2's video, a little slower than would have liked to go, but you know, that's construction sometimes, figuring out a new site and constraints within that site and people and everything. It's always an interesting one. Thank you for watching this one. Be sure to tune in for next week's. If you didn't watch last week's, watch that one also. And if you want to see anything, leave a comment so that I can cover that for you as well. Thank you very much.